Are you not making YouTube videos because, let's face it, it takes freaking forever to do? I don't know what your YouTube journey has been like, but mine has been kind of crazy trying to make a bunch of videos. My first video took 2 weeks, and then my second video took 2 months. How did I go from 2 weeks to 2 months to do a video? Because if you listen to all the YouTubers, your second video should be better than your first, and then your third should be better than your second. So it makes sense that you're going to spend longer and longer editing on each video if each video has to be better than the one before, right? In addition, if you listen to all of the professional YouTubers who are teaching you how to make videos on YouTube, the amount of time that they throw at you to make a video is ridiculous. I was watching Think Media the other day, and the content creator for Think Media was talking about how he films 10 times faster. And by doing it this other way that he did it, he could now spend anywhere from 30 minutes to 1 hour for every 1 minute of video that he made. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. If you make a 15-minute video, that means you're spending at least 7.5 hours to 15 hours on just the editing alone. And then let's talk about scripting. I was watching one YouTuber and he said he could easily spend 1 to 2 days, easily 8 hours, just creating a script. I don't know about you. I don't have the time for that. I've got a day job. Obviously, that's going to be a problem if you have a second job. How are you going to launch a YouTube channel? That's what I'm here to talk to you about today. I recently took on a 30-day YouTube challenge to post a video every single day for 30 days. When I heard about that challenge, I went, yes, I need to do that. And it absolutely changed everything about the way that I do YouTube videos, starting from how I thought about how they need to be put together, to how to film, how to edit, how to create thumbnails, how to post, how to do descriptions, how to do tags and keywords and all of that stuff. I am really good at finding shortcuts. Over the next 3 videos, I'm going to show you how to use all of those secret tips and tricks to take that whole process and make it 10 times faster. I'll be honest with you, it now takes me an average of 1 hour for every 5 minutes of video that I make. And that includes everything from the scripting to the filming, to the editing, to the posting, to the thumbnail, everything. I will putz around and I will spend a little bit extra time once I've got all that stuff done to add some special features and stuff. But if you want to take your videos and just get all of the basics down so that way it's either ready to post or ready to send to an editor to kind of fancy up and glitz up, then you're going to want to watch this video because I'm going to give you all of my best secrets and all of my best tips, starting with scripting, how to script 10 times faster. Before I actually became a flight attendant, but after I became a researcher, I actually was a part of Romance Writers of America for about 5 years. And during that time, I learned absolutely everything that I could learn about how to create nonfiction stories for readers. Romance writers are kind of jeered at as not the professionals of the writing industry because they're not writing to be artsy-fartsy. They're writing for an audience. So a lot of times we get called a lot of different names like sellouts. But in all honesty, if you're a content creator, you're creating for your audience as well. So you're pretty much the same as a romance writer. In the romance writing industry, there are 2 types of writers. One is called the plotter and the other is called the pantser. The plotter will create a plot for their book, while the pantser will just write by the seat of their pants. Now, as a content creator, you probably would recognize this as one being that you create an outline or a script, and the second being you just turn the camera on and start talking. I was always a plotter, which means that I would probably be best as a scripter, but again, that can easily take 8 hours to do a script, and I don't have that kind of time. So for me, going to an outline was easiest. Now, in the romance writing industry, everybody knows that there is a formula to write a best-selling book. This also happens to exist in the television industry, in the movie industry, in pretty much any industry that is trying to entertain an audience for money. And the reason this formula exists is because a lot of psychology and a lot of study has gone into what is attractive to an audience. As I began my YouTube journey, I started watching a lot of different YouTubers to see what they do for scripting, and I started coming up with my own kind of solution based on my romance writing background, but also what I'm learning from the experts. The first one is the formula. So I'm going to show you what the formula looks like today. The first part of the formula is obviously the hook. Every YouTuber talks about this. If you're going to start a video, you need a hook, and the hook is usually one of 3 things. It's either a question, a statement, or a metaphor. So if you can think of that whenever you start your hook, and then you film it separately by itself, that is going to take you hopefully less than 30 seconds. Apparently, they're saying that the algorithm is going to change in 2025, that you would actually want this to be 15 seconds instead of 30. So you're not doing any kind of introduction in the hook. You're just literally asking a question. Okay, so now I'm moving down to the bottom of the whiteboard. And just like you have the hook at the beginning, you are going to have the outro at the end. And the outro is your call to action, the CTA. So you're looking at, hey, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you want to learn how to blah, blah, blah. Because that is going to be your call to action. And you're also going to tell them, hey, in the next video, I'm going to talk about this. So make sure you go catch that video as well. So that's what you want to do in the outro. You want to do this as 1 minute or less. So you got your hook, you got your outro. Now we're going to start filling in the rest of the formula. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 lines, because one of the things that you want to do in a story is have a 3-part act. If you're in the writing world, this is going to be your before, your during, and your after. So before, during, after, there's your 3-part act. If you're not actually looking for a story, it's going to be the problem, the lesson, and the solution. So again, 3-part act on that. This all sounds good and well, right? But we got to go even farther. So how are we going to go even farther in this? For this one, you're not going to talk about 1 problem, you're going to talk about 3 problems. And this is 3 problems that your audience is having, 3 things that are hurting them to do. For the next one, you're going to talk about the scary bridge.
Now here's what the 3x3 rule is. When you start the story, you have to think of 3 things that you used to experience, the before, so we can call this the before, that mirror what your client or your customer or your audience is currently dealing with. Then you have to think of 3 things that are the complete polar opposite of what the current situation for them is, or the now. You know, if you a business aggressive, what to call a bridge that is scary. You have to paint a scary bridge. Here's where they are now. Here's where they want to be. Now, there's a bridge to get them from A to B, but the bridge is scary. They don't want to go on the bridge because he's scary. So they hire you to take the bridge for them. They're not going to go to college and learn taxes. They're not going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on this, that, and the other thing. They're not going to study the tax code for years. You did that. And so when you ask for money, it makes sense to them because paying the money for the tax plan is a lot better than the scary road. This is how you tell a story with the 3x3 rule. You just simply go, here's where they are before, what I experienced before. Here's the now, what they want to experience, and here's the scary bridge that they don't have to take if they pay me money.
So basically you've got a transition, whether it's the before, during, and the after, the problem, the lesson, and solution, or 3 problems, the scary bridge, and the 3 answers. There's lots of different ways to do this, but basically the same formula that all of these YouTubers are making. But there's still one final element to this. So the final scripting element is something that I saw from this girl right here about how she cracked YouTube Shorts. And she talks about something called but, therefore.
It's just like problem, solution, or but, therefore storytelling.
Okay. Tell me more about but, therefore storytelling.
Basically, but therefore storytelling, simply put, is just lots of change in the story. So stories can't be stories without change. For example, I went on a walk, then it started raining, then I went back home. It was much more boring than if it was like, I went on a walk, but it started raining. Therefore, I started running back home, and it was raining all over me. But good thing I had a handy umbrella while I was on my way back. Therefore, I got home. Like, it's the exact same story, but it just sounds so much more intriguing when you have like but and then
so good.
So she would say the but, therefore. And I saw a lot of YouTubers popping that up, talking about but, therefore. I heard one call it but then, therefore. And for me, I realized that my natural terminology is but then and so then. I say so a lot. For me, when I broke it down, it became BS. But then, so then. But then, so then. So if you can do that, you continue to create a story and you continue to attract your people. Sounds pretty easy, right? Just give yourself 3 problems, each one going from but then to so then. And then at the bottom, you give your 3 answers. And hopefully this takes less than 2 minutes and this takes less than 2 minutes. How to film faster. Now there's one final thing that I do every time I do a video. I call this section in this video. And this one I call the takeaway. And then finally, for all of the different lessons that I give in this, I will say lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and I will call out whatever the name is. For example, in this video, Lesson 1 happens to be how to script faster. Now this is important because this is going to help you film faster. The reason that I call this section in this video is because every time I go to record, I will start by saying this expression. I will literally hit the record button and I will say, in this video today, I'm going to talk to you about, so I'm basically saying in this video twice. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because it's creating its own little hanging sentence. When you move it to an editing software, that little hanging sentence is going to help you identify where each of your sections start, especially if you use an AI generated editor like Gling, which I use. Because when I say the repeat part, Gling is automatically going to cross out the very first line in this video, which I don't actually want twice. So I'll let it delete it, but it will show me also where that starts. And there's another very important reason for that. When I start with this one, I will literally say the hook and then ask my question, because I like to do a hook with questions. And if I mess it up, I hit stop, I hit re-record, and I'll say it again. The hook, da 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 da. Dang it, I messed that up. Stop, record, the hook, blah blah blah, and keep going. I will do it over and over and over again until I'm happy with the way that the hook came out. And then once I'm happy with it, I will go to the next part where I will say, in this video today, I'm going to talk about blah, 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 blah. And if I mess that up, I hit stop and re-record. I don't go back and I delete all of those. And I'll show you why in the last part of this video. But keep that in mind. Every time you move to the next section, say what that section is at the beginning. Lesson 1, how to script faster, and then start saying what it is that you want to say. This is going to help you create a space for transition if you want one. Maybe you actually want to say that to introduce the next lesson, or maybe you want to delete it. But either way, when you say it and then you pause before you start, all of these AI softwares that do transcripts and subtitles and all that stuff is going to leave a space, and it's going to help you identify the different sections much, much easier. Finally, when you get down to the bottom, you're going to say the takeaway. Then instead of saying the takeaway again, you're just going to jump right into what it is that you want to say, and you're going to repeat what those 3 solutions were to the 3 problems, and then just end it. And hopefully you can keep that to less than 2 minutes because you want your videos to be fast. Then again, you're going to do the same with your outro. Now here's one more really good tip that I like to do whenever I'm going to this process. I will skip this section completely. I will go to the hook and then I will jump right into lesson 1. The reason I do that is since I'm not writing a script, once I start talking and I keep messing up and I keep re-recording that section over and over until I'm happy with it, I'll end up realizing that I said something that I wouldn't have thought about if I had recorded this first. So if you record this first, you're just going to end up deleting it anyway. It's better to film the rest of it and then come back and say what the 3 problems are, because then you're going to know how to say that better based on what you've already said with the lesson plan. So start with the hook, jump to the lessons, do the takeaway, the outro, and then go back and do your intro. It'll save you a ton of time if you do this. Here is another really great tip for if you're filming that's going to save you a crap load of time on editing, especially if you're using an AI generated editor. Even if you're not using an AI generated editor and you have an editor that you pay, doing this is going to help them edit faster. Basically, a lot of YouTubers will talk about how you want to change the setting behind you often, every 1.5 to 2 minutes. Well, how do you do that? I don't know about you. I don't have a lot of settings where I can film. The trick is actually very simple. What you're going to do is you're going to take the camera and you're going to walk around and you're going to pause and you're going to put another wall behind you. Now here is the trick. As you're moving around, you say nothing. Okay, so now just pretend that I'm not talking right now. I'm moving back to here and I'm setting the camera up. If I had said nothing during that whole process of just turning from one angle to the other, or maybe I move to the couch, or maybe I go outside, that long pause while the camera is still recording will flatten out the audio line. When it flattens out the audio line, the AI generated editing software will see that there's no audio in there and it'll cut it. Same thing with your editor. So if you want to change the background often without hitting stop, re-record, just do your talk and then move your camera to another place while being completely silent. Look, my Christmas tree. So I'll show you how this looks. I'm just going to do this right now and I am not going to hit stop. I'm just going to stop. So scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. And literally Gling will cut this out for me just because I didn't say anything while I moved around. Another trick that I've learned from some of these editors is if you use the 3 lines on your screen, the grid pattern, You can help line up where your eyes are, and you want them on the same line each time. If you can put stuff in the background on the lines that are going up and down like this, then it'll help you, especially if you can get your eyes in the same place each time, because that way when you turn and you don't talk during that part, all you have to do is line up your lines with the same background and with your eyes. So then that way, when Gling cuts it, it looks like you haven't moved at all. You've just magically changed positions. So it's a great tip on how to do really cool, fancy editing without taking a lot of time. You will literally probably record about 10 minutes just moving around, saying a line, move to another place, say a line. And then when you put it into Gling, it's gonna chop like 8 minutes out, and you're gonna have a 2-minute video where your background is constantly changing. Easy peasy trick. So here is one more trick to do if you are filming with multiple cameras. When you're filming with multiple cameras and you hit record on each camera, then what's going to end up happening is they're not going to start at exactly the same time. There's always a lag in each camera on how quickly it starts. So the final tip that you want to do if you're editing with multiple cameras is that as you start each filming, what you want to do is you want to clap your hands and then pause. If that's not enough, you might even want to do it 2 or even 3 times. What that's going to do is it's going to create an audio jump in your audio line on both of your cameras. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that and you're going to put it into your editing software, and you have to line them up. And when you line them up, you have to get it precise. If you don't get it precise, you get an echo, and the echo is super annoying. Unless you're using an AI generated software that will match them up for you, it can be a pain, but it's actually easy to do as long as you have that first sound. Like I said, will be a jump, and then you just line the jumps up and you delete the echo. How to set up your film to edit faster. Okay, so now we're in the final part of the lesson, how we're going to download our videos, so that way we can actually cut our editing time way down. And it all comes down to how are we going to download these videos properly. Now, obviously, I haven't deleted anything at all. My phone camera is plugged into the computer, so we are literally transferring them over right now. And as you can tell, I have done 32 new video clips. That's how many times I messed up trying to make this video. So I'm going to say select new, all 32. I'm going to create a folder for December, and I'm going to call it December 26th. And I click on December 26th. Now all of these videos are importing into that one particular folder. When it's done, I'm going to go ahead and delete all of those videos from my camera, which may sound awful to you, but the camera phone that I have only has about 64 gigs of memory, so it gets used up pretty quick. The best way for me to keep the camera clean is to just go ahead and delete everything while it's still plugged into my computer. Nice little time-saving tip. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead into my camera imports. We're going to go to today's date, December 26th. And here are all of the videos that I did. Apparently there's a few family photos in there. I'm going to go ahead and take those out. I did take some Christmas photos yesterday, and this one was a photo that I didn't need. I accidentally took that earlier, so I'm going to take that out and delete that. Here's where this gets so much easier. We're going to save so much editing time. Remember how I said to say the hook or whatever right before? Check it out. But here's my video. Are you not making YouTube videos because, let's face it, it takes... Now, let's say I didn't want that one. What's the next one say? The hook. That was definitely not the last one. And see, as I go through each one, all I have to do is listen for that introduction. The hook. The hook. As you can tell, most of these videos that I did are the hook. The hook. The hook. The hook. Anyway, you just keep doing that until you get to the last one. The hook part 2. Inid. Okay, did you hear that? The hook part 2. So that means this video right here was the last the hook that I did, which means that's the one that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and change the name of this to 1 space dash space the hook. Now see, each of these videos has a timestamp on it from your camera. And by changing that to 1, it's now jumped to the top of the list. The hook part 2. There it is. In addition, the hook part 2. Now we can listen to the next one. The hook part 2. Again, I did a hook part 2. We'll listen to the third one. So for this first part editing, so this one right here was the hook part 2. And what I would usually do is I would put 1B, the hook part 2. So here is where the next section starts. I don't need any of these previous ones, so I'm just going to select them. You could move them into a trash folder if you want, or you could just delete them. I tend to delete them. Now again, this one is lesson 1. Okay, so for this first part editing, I have this portable whiteboard. That was 15 seconds long, as you can see right here, which means that's definitely not it. Now I click on the next one. This one is 2 minutes and 39 seconds long, the whiteboard. The first one I said was lesson 1. Lesson 1, how to script 10 times. So here is the lesson 1 that I want to use. It's the last one of the lesson 1. I will put 2-lesson 1. Then the next part of lesson 1, I just called the whiteboard. which is why literally I started with the whiteboard. The whiteboard. Now let's see if the next one starts that way. The whiteboard. It does. Let's see if the next one starts that way. Okay, we're gonna move this down now. No, it doesn't. So now this one right here is the third video of the section, the whiteboard. And that's how I started. And as you can see, each of the videos is moving closer and closer into order, which is fantastic. It's exactly what I want. You just keep doing this until all of your videos, all the way to the end, have been named. So once you've done that, you're going to take them all and you're going to start editing them in whatever software you prefer. In the next video, I'm going to show you how I use Gling and Descript to edit 10 times faster and get my videos into a position that are either ready for posting or ready to send to an editor for some of that extra fancy glam that they do. If you don't have an editor still, and you're just not a fan of Descript or Gling, but you've done the editing with them, and now you want to make it fancy with transitions and captions and all of the other fancy stuff that you don't find in Descript, then you can just take that video and you can move it to the next Canva or CapCut or whatever software you use to add all of the fancier stuff. But that's going to be a different video. If you want to see that video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and let me know you like this by hitting the like button. In the meantime, let's go to the final takeaway of the video, which of course is telling you what the solutions are. The takeaway. Okay guys, at this point you should have a pretty good idea of where I'm going to go with this next. Next, we're looking at the takeaway. And I'm just going to basically repeat the 3 problems and reiterate what the solutions were. So obviously, the first problem is how to script faster. There you go. It's a formula. You just do each section, 3 problems, 3 solutions, and what is the scary bridge that your audience has to cross to try to get there that's too terrifying for them to do. So again, before, during, after, the problems, the lesson, the solution. Very simple. The next part, filming, you just say each heading before you start to film. If you mess up, you hit stop, you hit re-record, you start over again by saying the heading again. And you keep doing that until you get enough of a version that you like to go ahead and hit stop and print. Now, if you get halfway through the lesson, you go ahead, you stop, you print, and then the next part, when you say the lesson name, you say part 2 after it. That way you know the last take was the good take, and we're continuing on with that idea because we didn't want to mess up the perfection that was that last take. You just keep doing all of that. You get down to the takeaway, you repeat everything, and then once you're done, you go back, and now you're going to say, in this video, in the next clip. And in this video, we're going to talk about all of this today, and now you have all of this stuff in your mind so that you can remember how to make the coolest, smoothest intro possible. Then you download it, and you just keep clicking on the next video, the next video, the next video, till you get to the last version of that lesson, because that last version is usually going to be your best. This whole process usually takes an hour or less. I average about 45 minutes. And then when I stick it into the AI editing software, it generally cuts it down to about 25 to 30 minutes. From there, I look for ways to cut about another 10 minutes out of it so that I can get a nice tight 15-minute video. That's always my goal, 15 minutes. Sometimes it gets stretched to 20, but you know, what can you do? Anyway, if you guys like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell if you want more ideas about how to make YouTube videos for business, because this channel is about helping small businesses. If you liked this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. And if you want to know how to edit 10 times faster and the tips and tricks that I learned from my 30-day YouTube challenge, make sure you check out this video right here. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video. Ciao!